Hey everyone, Egman here with another video, and today we've got not one but two Android 13 decks with the new support that comes out in Battle Evolution this month. We have the new yellow leader, and then I also made a deck with the old green leader as well. And then I also have some gameplay of this leader that I had on my Twitch stream last night. If you look at the end of the video, there will be a link or in the description that will be to the re-upload for it. But we're going to talk about this guy and just all the support that Android 13 got and just how I kind of feel about it. So the new leader is yellow, which is already kind of stinky in my mind. I feel like green is just like better for him, but you get to choose one green or yellow Android card in your hand and discard it when this card attacks, draw two, so being able to do that cycle is nice, especially since a lot of your Android cards like to be in the drop area. And then on the when your life is at 5 or less and you have a Android 14 and 15 cards in your drop area, you may draw one card and then untap one of your energy, which I really wish this was an untap 2. If this was an untap 2 leader, we'd be a lot better off, but it's not, so it kind of sucks, but it's okay. But just being able to do like the extension to do some of your plays, I think would have been super worth it, and it just kind of stinks about it. But we do have, on the flip side, auto when this card attacks, draw one. Auto once per turn when one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode is placed in its own drop area by one of your skills. Your opponent chooses one card in their hand and discards it. So this effect to like pop something is really difficult to do. It's not easy, and it sucks. It sucks to try to do it, especially because it has to be by a skill and not just by anything else. So I think this kind of stinks, and like it's really hard to get advantage from this. But like if you can do it, it's great. But it's once again, it's just really hard. It's really hard to do it. And I wish it wasn't by a skill, or I wish it wasn't rest mode. One of those two would have made, I think, it better and not broken, but it's both, and I feel like it's too much of a constraint for it. We do have this new Android 13 card, and it says at the start of your opponent's turn, so I could be wrong, and you can let me know in the comments, but I think this happens before your opponent untaps your cards, because it's at the start of your opponent's turn and not like at the beginning of your opponent's main phase. So I believe you pop cards first, which means that you pop them in rest mode, which means that you can, because you're able to do that, you're able to proc your Android 13 effect, and that's before they draw two. I think, if I'm wrong, let me know, but I think that's kind of the idea for this. Otherwise, if it doesn't interact like that, like this card's like, it's just bad. I don't know why they wouldn't have it otherwise, but that's the idea with this. I think this is like the best card for the archetype that's been released, and I think he's good because he can be used everywhere. But he has an so it has that. It's unique double strike. You can rival it for one green, and then active main for one. Send this card from your drop area to your warp. Choose one of your opponent's battle cards, any cost 3 or less, and KO it. So that's also really good. Being able to just for one energy pop something and just have it in your drop area, especially with the amount of ways you have to put cards into your drop area, because it is a 4. And then also there's this like last thing, active battle once per turn. Send one Android 14 and one Android 15 from your drop area to your warp. Choose one of your one of your leader cards or Android cards that gets plus 5k power for the battle. So like, this is okay too, like just an extra 5k boost every once in a while. But I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I feel like the biggest like thing about this is that like the combo is that you have this Android 14 and 15. If your leader card is yellow or Android, reduce the combo cost of this card in your hand by 1, which is fine to have a green-yellow, free combo, which is really nice. If your opponent has 2 or more energy when this card is played, look at the top 10 cards of your deck. Play up to one Android 13 card with any cost of 4 or less among them with its skills negated for the turn, then shuffle your deck. So it does play this with its skills negated, which kind of sucks, but this procs at the start of your opponent's turn, so if you play this off this guy, then you're able to play it for free still, and you still get that effect. But I feel like the worst thing about this is that like you do this and then you're done. Like you're done for turn 2. You have these 2 cards that can be popped by anything because there's no barrier with them, and then you just like, what do you do? Like sure, you play a 4-drop from your deck for free for 2 energy. Like it's really good efficiency, but I feel like we're still really slow on what it does. Like, and I think like the bigger thing too is that like this is 2 and this is 4, and I feel like if this card just had an effect, like if there's an Android 14 and 15 out, this costs 1 more on the battle, then that's great. That would have been like super cool flavor. It would have made sense, with this card out too. It would have still been a little bit cheesy, but if that's the case, then you can do successor to these guys, right? And we got this guy as well, and I feel like both these guys still aren't worth their effects. They're just slow, they're clunky. You have to have them in hand to do successor with them, which is kind of hard to do sometimes. And like 2 energy, sure, you get a big, and like you lose so much card advantage. and then you just don't gain a lot. I feel like you want to have this guy out because of his effect, right? And how much pressure he can do. And so just to successor him away for these guys isn't really worth it. So I feel like it's just weird. We don't really want to do this. And the fact that, once again, it's a 2 and a 4, so you can't successor nice into a 7. I think these guys are just still traps. I don't think they're good. I don't think you should run them. And I don't think they do really well. So that's like the idea that's kind of like the testing I found with this guy. Everything else seemed to be okay. Broly's just a good card to be able to rival, especially when you have so many free combo cards now. I tried to do the Super 17 yellow, and it was okay. Being able to put cards into your drop area felt really good. Vegeta Prideful Transformation is good, especially because 3 plus 4 equals 7. But I also could see you doing like a more Demigra build, and so you can do it from 2 to 5, and then from there you can do 2 and 5, and you go to 7, and then you keep your 4 drop out, so you have you get like the best one out still, and then you can just have your 7 drop. So I felt like that was good. There's some potential there as well. And what else we got? That's it. Just generically good stuff. Like Zamasu's good to rest things, and if you can pop things, you can make your opponent drop one, or just on defense because we're not running a bunch of defense cards. Android 17 is cool. Android 18 is kind of cool too because you can just warp this to be able to get a green or yellow Android at a cost of 1 from your drop area to your hand, which means you can get these Android 15s to make sure that you have a target for your Android 14 here. And what else we got? I think that's really it I want to talk about this deck. So I think it's okay. I think like the other thing I do is like you could probably run this check land really, really easily because you just have to put a green and yellow card from your drop area, which it's super easy to do with this deck. You just have to be careful because like you have to have the Android 14, 15 in your drop area to awaken with this leader, which I feel like it should have been like when your life is at 4 or less, you can awaken, or 6 or less with 14 and 15 in your drop area. But it's neither. It's 5 or less, and you have to have 14 and 15, which means that it's just weird. Like if your opponent aggroes you out and you don't have those cards in your drop area, then you just can't awaken. It's not as bad as like King Vegeta, but it's still kind of bad. Looking at the old leader though, I have this build. I haven't really tested it that much, but I feel like this just has more congruent ideas of what you want to do. I feel like Android 13 just works really well in this leader because you just being able to play him really early is great. Being able to pop your opponent's cards is great, and even though you don't get anything on your Awaken side for doing your Android 13, just the fact that you can have like this offers more pressure. It's really easy for this to be a crit, and you can just do some fancy stuff. Android 18 and Krillin, this card's great too because there's just better ways, like just the way that you have like free green yellow stuff combos. You can just play this card really easily now, and then you can make your opponent drop a card, which means if they do, you can pop this, and then you can have your Son Goku Power of Legend going on. So I think this deck is good, and there's some potential here. I haven't tested out too much, but I would try this one next to have more of an aggressive hand control. I don't know if it's better than OG Broly, but it's just a different deck, I guess. So this is how I would approach it a second time if I was looking at this. But in general, I feel like it just goes down to like these guys. They even though they only cost 2 energy to do, 2 energy is really heavy, especially in an untap 1 list or an untap 0 list, and then also especially in green yellow because you don't have like, it's not blue. If blue was a color, it'd be easier because blue has a lot of untaps, but you're not. So 2 is a huge investment for this kind of stuff, and they're just like beaters. They're just big beaters essentially, and they just don't do that much. I feel like this, you'd rather have this guy on the board to make sure that your opponent just can't have, like, it's not easy for your opponent to have stuff out, and it's like you have awkward, like what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to play this on turn 2, and then you wait, and then you go on your turn 3, both these guys survive somehow, and then like you play a 1-drop, and then you go into your successor and tap out. Like, it just seems bad. I don't think it's a good idea, and it's just not worth it. So that's kind of the idea. If I was to look at this with something else, like, I don't know, Cell Surge, I kind of know what this leader does. I think there's some cool stuff you can do, though. Like, this Android 14, 15 being able to play a 4-drop from your deck for free is great, especially when this is one of the targets for it. So I think that's really cool. I didn't say it in this one, but you can also get this guy, which is, he's just a big 20k crit, and then if he survives to the next turn, you're able to pay 2 and make your opponent discard a card and pop a card. So I think he's kind of worth looking into being played off this Android 14, 15. I think there's some cool stuff you can do with it. But yeah, just being able to get 2, like turn 1 you play Demigra, and then turn 2 you're able to use Android 14, 15. You have to charge yellow, but that's super easy. And then you're able to play this guy, and then go into this guy, and then you can just pop stuff on your opponent's turn, or you can go once again to that guy, And then if, like, let's say you pop something with like Charismatic Frieza when it came out, then you got 4 and 5 and go into 9, or you got 5 and 2 and you can go into 7, or even if you get a so you can do one of the other cards, even though like they don't really do anything. You can also go into the 6-drop cell. I should probably put that there. Cell. You also go into this guy, which is kind of cool. So like being able to just do this turn 2 and then just go there. Or if you're also running like the 4-drop Frieza for surprise attack, then you can go 2 and 4 equals 6 there as well. Or there's just like a bunch of stuff you can do. Even like 4, 5, and 9, that's fine. But like that's not new stuff. I think there's some potential to look into here to really invigorate like the old like cell archetype. But just being able to get like this guy with this guy is good, especially since Cell can put this guy into your drop area for free, and then you can just use 1 energy to pop something. So that's kind of cool. And then what else? Oh, and then like also like if you can also do it with yellow, because you can do Super 17 as your unison, and then you can use Super 17 to get Vegeta Prideful Transformation out. And then 2, 3, and 4 equals 9, so you can go Super 17 again. So like there's a bunch of options for what you can do. And I think there's some, you can look into it and find out what you want to do. But I'm probably going to look at this some more. Maybe I'll have like another Cell Surge list that's more of actually Successor, even though it's been like a year almost exactly since I've looked into that kind of stuff. But I think there's some potential. But that's going to be it for me. Let me know what you guys think about these decks. Let me know what you think about Android 13. If I just built this deck wrong, let me know. I feel like I must have, because it just didn't feel like it was cohesive. But that's it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.